Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been distracted and torn? I mean, you started out on a project so great, yet you got distracted. I mean, you started gung-ho. Everything was great, but then it happened. You quit. You collapsed. You caved in. Well, I want you to know you're not alone. As a matter of fact, I would submit to you that probably your very best friend has done it. As a matter of fact, probably even the person you admire most has done the very same thing. Hey, I want you to know I've done that, been there, done that, and I got the t-shirt to prove it. Here's the encouraging word I have for you today. Get back. As John, Paul, George, and Ringo said, get back, Loretta. Get back, JoJo. Your mama's waiting for you. I want you to know your father is waiting for you. Get back. For all of us who've been distracted, here's the good news. We're not alone. As a matter of fact, there is a great, teeny, tiny, 2-chapter book in the Old Testament called Haggai that tells us that we are not alone. To find it, you go to Matthew and turn left 3 books of the Bible and you'll find it. The great news, although written 25 centuries ago, it is just as relevant as anything you would ever read today. Here's a little bit about this incredible book of the Bible. The purpose of Haggai was to call the people to complete the rebuilding of Solomon's temple, a literal multi-billion-dollar building by today's standards. Haggai wrote it, and it was the call of God back to intimate relationship. That's the reason it was written. It was written to the people living in Jerusalem and those who had returned from exile. The setting: in 586 BC, the armies of Babylon had completely destroyed this beautiful temple. But then there was an incredible king by the name of King Cyrus in 538 BC, before Christ, who said, Jewish people, you can go back to Jerusalem and rebuild this beautiful temple, this physical presence of God amongst yourselves. You can go back and rebuild the temple. Man, that was an incredible opportunity for them. And they did. Joyously, they went back and they started. They got the foundation going, and gung-ho, they got going. But guess what? They caved in and they collapsed. And because of opposition, because of apathy, they started becoming convinced of comfort. They got consumed with comfort. They started living the good life. They started just wanting to play with their computers and their iPads. They just wanted the easy life.
That was easy.
They just wanted everything to be easy for them. So much so that God raised up a man by the name of Haggai. After 15 years of them doing nothing but lay the foundation, and then they stopped, Haggai said this as God led him: "Is it a time for you yourselves to be living in your paneled houses while this house remains a ruin?" Friends, they forgot their passion and their purpose and their priority. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like you and me? It sounds like me. They got consumed with their comfort. But God the Father was saying, and is saying to you and me, no, I have a life message. And the life message is, don't live for yourself and your nice houses and your iPads and your computers. Nothing wrong with all those things, but I have something deeper, something much more significant. I want you to get back to doing what I've called you to do, because only that will satisfy. I'm calling you into a love relationship, an intimate relationship with me. You see, they had been released for a reason. They'd been called out to be called in, called out of captivity to do God stuff. And that's what God calls every one of us to. We all have been called to that. So I think it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and, my friend, get back. You see, only you can do what God calls you to do. Only you can do what God calls you to do. My friend, when we live our life for self, it becomes empty. It becomes a drought. That's what God was trying to say to Haggai's people, and I believe it's what He's saying to us. God said through Haggai these words in Haggai chapter 1 and verse 6. You've planted much, but have harvested little. You eat, but never have enough. You drink, but never have your fill. You put on clothes, but are not warm. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes in it. Listen to that last line. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes in it. Interesting phrase, isn't it? Let me explain that to you. This is putting your wages in a purse with holes in it. This is the self-life. The pursuit of things and houses, computers, the pursuit of new things, new shoes and money, fame and sexuality, motorcycles and sports, a new relationship. This is the self-life. It all adds up to nothing. It is empty. It becomes a drought. It is empty. You see, things don't satisfy, at least not for long. Things were never meant to satisfy, and that's exactly why they don't. You see, the perfect antidote to that purse, that empty purse, is found in Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33. It reads this way, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." Now, all these things, you read in the chapter, what are all these things? Food, clothing, and shelter. That's what all the dudes and the dudettes in Haggai's day were running after. Hey, let me clue you in. That's what we all run after too. But that's not God's design, that we would run after all those things. If we will just trust Him, He'll take care of it all. So friend, just trust Him. Has He ever let you down even once? I think not. It's just time for us to trust Him. And so, my friend, have you been distracted and torn? You've started, but you've stopped. My friend, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to end that way. Get back. Get back. You've been released for a reason. You've been called out to be called in. God calls you and me into a close, loving, intimate relationship. My friend, don't try to take the easy way out.
That was easy.
Don't fill your life with nothing. It's just not worth it. The Lord says, even if it's been 15 years since you started and now you've stopped, I still have my arms wide open to receive you, begin the journey again, so you can live your best life now. That's God's plan. That's what He wants to do for every one of us. That's how much God the Father loves us. He's patient, He's loving, and He wants you to get back.